Welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome. It's Monday, baby. Happy Moon Day. You might not be feeling happy today, though, because the energy today is frustrating. It's frustrating. It's difficult. Some of us might be feeling bipolar today. Some of us might feel like we're about to have a nervous breakdown today, and then you okay the next hour. Some of us had some terrible arguments this week, last night, this morning. If anybody can relate to any of these things, can you please drop me some hearts or something to let me know if I'm touching on your heart? I'm Kamson the Oracle, and I channel information from the Akash. I read the Book of Life. I read the energy of the ethers for the collective. So these are things that we're all going through. Is anybody questioning their relationship? Is anybody feeling like you're not quite sure that you're on the journey that is authentic to who you are? Is anybody discovering that you have some unmet needs and you're not quite sure how to get those needs met? The world put a lot of pressure on us to be perfect and to show up and to never have bad days. The world put a lot of pressure on us to not have anxiety and panic attacks, and it make you feel like less of a person if you anything less than perfect. Is anybody related to any of this? Pressure. Everything's fucking pressure. Pressure. Performance. Pressure. They raised us in school. It was pressure. Performance. You don't get an A. You got talked about for getting the lowest grade. Or maybe you got good grades and all of a sudden you're not doing good and teacher busts you out in class. Pressure. Performance. Rewarding the people who did great. Rewarding the students who kissed the teacher ass. Just pressure from everybody. Family's expectations. Pressure. Fellas, pressure for your sexual capacity, right? To please a woman. Pressure. Erectile dysfunction is like it makes you less of a human if you're having a day or maybe a week or a month. I want to talk about some relationship myths. This is what I feel that I'm being directed by my guides to discuss with you. Pressure. The pressure. These are expectations and standards that was created and is not realistic. It's not realistic. Pressure. That's why we like reality TV. Because we get to see people handle pressure, and sometimes the shit be so messy where you feel like, damn, I'm not alone. I feel better now. I'm not the only person that feel pressure. I'm not the only person that pop off. I'm not the only person that repress my emotions and eat my emotions. I'm not the only person that drink a bottle of wine and I was just drinking one glass and now I've pretty much dried out the bottle. Pressure. Got to get up and go to work, and I got to cook, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. Pressure. For men, it's pressure. I need to make money. I need to make more money. It's just pressure. Social media creates more pressure than we already experience throughout life. Everybody has trauma. Adverse childhood traumatic events. We all have it. How do you be happy? How do you be happy for Monday? I'm so fucking happy right now. I'm on here because I want to share my happiness, my love, and my joy with you. I have pressure on me too. But I'm happy because I figured out how to reverse engineer the psychological programming that makes us feel like we're not enough. Can't please nobody. You can't please your daddy. You can't please your mama. You can't please your kids. You can't please your partner. You can't please nobody. You can't even fucking please yourself. Do you know how to please you? A lot of us have practiced pleasing others to feel better, to feel less pressure, and it's still not enough. What do you do with that? Pressure. Some of us are ashamed to let people see us when we're depressed. So we just close everything out, just disconnect from the whole world, from everybody. If you live in a house with people, I don't want to see you, I don't want to talk. I get it. Sometimes we need that a long time. But how do you find the happy medium? How do you find that middle path? This is the art of Wu Wei wisdom. This is the art of the Tao. This is being like water. What does water do when it's too much pressure, right? It finds a way to release the pressure so that it can flow in its natural state. Our bodies are made up of over 70% water. Your brain, over 85 to 90% water, depending on what, fact checkers you look at. So if we're water beings, that means that we hold memory. That means that everything we have ever experienced, even when we were unconscious of how terrible some of the experiences were that we went through, your body, your mind is still holding the data from that event, even if it bypassed your conscious mind. Some of us were in relationships and we got abused and had no fucking idea we were being abused until you start doing research. And you start asking yourself, like, why do I feel this pressure? Why do I not feel enough? Why do I feel like when I express my feelings, people don't hear me? Why does it seem like people are easily offended by me? I'm just expressing my heart. Is there a correct way to express your emotions? Absolutely. The goal is to be like water. When the temperature drops, water freezes, right? That's water learning how to hold on to its structure, right? We're water beings. So we can hold on to our structure even when we are dealing with some cold ass situations. The world seems colder, doesn't it? It don't seem like nobody really give a fuck about nobody else anymore. I know I'm not the only one. And people love you, but it's just like I just feel this disconnect. It just feels like it's just on the surface. I think they nice, but they don't accept me when I'm at my worst. Maybe that's one of the discoveries of love and relationships, to realize that when you're at your worst, the person that can love you when you're at your worst might be the best person for you, versus you trying to find somebody who can make you feel happy. It's too much pressure. It's too much pressure. A lot of us are single or in relationships and unhappy because of the pressure, these expectations and standards. It's not realistic and it's not sustainable. We've been through some shit. We spent 3 years on lockdowns and wearing fucking diapers on our face everywhere we went. You can't even fucking breathe oxygen anymore when you want to. What does water do when it is being constrained? Water always finds a way. Always finds a way. That's you. You are water. It's just water, baby. You can do this. You got this. You are so much better than you think you are, even when you're at your worst. Can somebody repeat that with me? I would love for you to repeat this with me. I am so much better than what I think I am, even when I'm at my worst. Feel that for a moment. Breathe that one in. You are. Even when you're at your worst, you're still worthy of love. Maybe you didn't make the best choices in life. Maybe you made decisions from a space of fear. It's okay. This is the journey. We didn't come to earth to be perfect. We came here to have experiences, many varieties of experiences, so that we could sift through who we want to be and who we do not. There's no reason to beat yourself up. Now, astrologically, today is one of those days where you may feel tension. You may feel emotional tension more than you have been. I'm not an astrologer, but I pay attention to the astrology. Serious Joy happens to be the astrology that I use the most, seriousjoy.com. And it will give you an idea of what the energy and the frequency is being emitted to the planet. And then that helps you to be like water. It helps you to navigate pressure, tension, conflict. Some of us avoid conflict because we want to feel peace. How they're working for you though, how that's working out. Because that don't work. Maybe short term, but long term, those things accumulate. Right? So in relationships, what's tomorrow, like Valentine's Day or some shit like that? Like, fuck that shit. Fuck Valentine's Day. Whole bunch of motherfucking diabetes being passed around in boxes shaped like hearts. Roses that was probably dyed and genetically modified, and fucking Hallmark cards that people can't sustain within the relationship. And after the day is over, you're right back to feeling alone, unhappy, not enough, question whether or not you want to be in a relationship. Maybe you're single and you want to be booed up, but you're not. Fuck that shit. Have an anti-Valentine's Day. You love you. You practice loving you. If you go and buy something, do it for you, not for nobody else. See, there's this word called consumerism, capitalism. And this whole economic system feeds on our not enoughness. It feeds on our craving and yearning and desire to be loved. Right? And a lot of us grew up watching people have dysfunctional relationships, and we normalized it. Some of us think it's normal for people to cheat. You know? Some of us just like, well, my daddy cheated on my mama damn near their whole marriage, so it is what it is. And you just give up on the fact that that's something that don't really resonate with you on a level of integrity. And if it don't, then you don't like let go of your standard. Be like, no, I'm not going to accept that as the norm. That's not what my heart desires. And I do believe that I can be in a healthy monogamous relationship. It relieves the pressure. Just being able to be clear about what it is that you want and don't want. And it takes time. It takes time. But everybody is not meant to be monogamous either. I really don't believe relationships up to this point was really based in love. It was based on pressure, fear. Fear. Every decision that we made out of fear, every time we were afraid that somebody would walk out on us, every time we were afraid to tell a truth because we're afraid of how it's going to be received, each time that you made a decision from that space, you created something that is going to grow over time. This is the law of attraction. So if you are experiencing fear about anything, it may not be about anything that I mentioned, but about anything, that's showing up because there was a seed of fear planted by a decision that you made because of fear. Some of us got jobs out of fear. Now we're seeing these massive walkouts. Companies are struggling to survive because people are realizing that they're not being valued, or the job is constraining their authentic self. See, nature has the ability to create because nature knows destruction is a cycle in creation. So when we try to go against nature and be in resistance, we're creating tension. It's not necessary. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to surrender. Just surrender and be like, I really don't even know what to do. I don't know. You don't have to make decisions like from that space. Sit in that space as long as you need to. But you wait till you are in a space of love to yourself, and you make decisions from that space, and it's going to change everything in your life. Because you're not allowing external pressure and expectations to dictate your decisions. This is ultimately what it means to be authentic. And it's something that's so difficult. It's difficult because of the standards, the social constructs, society, the economy. It's all being destroyed to create something new. We are seeing death like never before on the planet. And that can be triggering and hard and difficult, but it is a reality that we must face. We cannot ignore it. Whenever you ignore something, you actually amplify its ability to destroy you later on. Acceptance and surrender, releasing the things that you cannot control, allows you to have more energy to focus on what you can control. And the one thing that you can always control is how you feel about you. That one thing you can always control. And I don't have all the answers. But what I will say is that I have lived many lifetimes in just this 43 years on this planet. And I have a lot of answers, a lot of solutions. I studied every spiritual system I could put my hands on. I studied every form of psychotherapy that I could, astrotheology, Buddhism, Wu-Wei wisdom, the art of the Tao. I've studied so much in search of finding ways to relieve suffering. That's what I was put here to do. So my life was filled with so many challenges because the purpose of my life was to innovate life. You do not have to have everything in your life in control to be happy and at peace, to be grateful. That's a lie. We're being sold this lie 24/7. To feel better, you got to wear this. To feel better, you got to drink this. You got to eat this. You got to do this. You got to go here. It's just pressure. Just everything outside of us is always trying to dictate who we are subliminally. It's like advertisement is just fucking gaslighting, right? We watch prescription drug commercials and people look so fucking happy and you're like, maybe that's what I need to do. And then you got 15 side effects. And now you're back to where you started, but you actually 15 side effects feeling worse than you was before. It's, and some of us, it's like, I don't know what else to do. Focus on what you can control, and that's how you feel about you. Once you learn how to feel good about you, to feel like you enough, especially when you at your worst, especially when you at rock bottom, and you like, I still love me though. I still love me. I might have fucked up, but I still love me. That one thing you can be grateful for. Some of us deal with self-hatred. And because people don't openly talk about it, it's like this little secret shadow thing that we can't express or talk about. And when we go on dates and shit, we don't communicate the shadow stuff that we deal with. We bring the best parts of ourselves on our dates. And then we wonder why our relationships don't last. You know, my recommendation for a first date would be to start with the shadow shit. Start with the shit. Start with your worst. Start with the things that you think would probably cause them to not want to date you. That's what you start with. Lead with that. That's how you attract somebody who can love you at your worst, because they love themselves even if they're at their worst. See, how you treat yourself when you're less than perfect, that's really where the measurement of where you are in emotional maturity. But we get so hooked on what seems to be pretty and shiny and attractive. Like, we get so hooked on that, and it's like, well, you know, I don't want to tell them that I deal with self-hatred, or I have panic attacks, or I'm depressed most of the time. I don't want them to know that I be in my pajamas for 3 or 4 days. Lead with that. That way you can sift through the bullshit a whole lot quicker. The art of love is not presenting what you think people want. The art of love is just showing up just as you are. That way they're not falling in love with the false self version of you, which is the avatar that we use in the 3D matrix. They will feel a connection with the real true you. Right? I consider myself to be an expert in relationships. The irony of that. But I do. I'm very good at relationships. You could say it's my natal chart. But these are the things that I'm really good at. I'm really helpful in seeing more than one side of everything. This is why people book readings with me, because I perceive things from such a non-judgmental space. It allows me to see the peripheral. It allows me to see the dark parts that a lot of us have programmed ourselves not to look at. Right? So what happens is the shadow parts in psychotherapy, these parts of you are the exiled parts, the exiled. It's like kicked off on an island somewhere in the middle of nowhere. These are the parts of you like you hope nobody never find out about, right? Because you feel like if they do, then they're not going to want to have anything to do with you, or they're not going to see value in you, right? So you conjure up this false self person, and a lot of times we really think that's who we are. We really think that's who we are. But when the pressure comes on, who you are comes out. This is why you lead with the worst. Tell me, how do you handle death of a family member, right? These are the questions you ask. How would you handle the difficult things in life? How would you handle being in a relationship with someone who deals with depression? Would you try to force them to be happy every day? Like, these are the questions that you would ask, and it sets you up to have more authentic relationships. So what happens is we're so compartmentalized. Every human on this planet has different aspects of themselves. We shapeshift, we code shift, we're chameleons. That's not a negative thing. That's a useful tool when you're navigating a holographic reality where nothing is as it seems. It's a very useful tool. It's a tool of survival. That's beautiful that you are learning how to survive. But you don't want to operate in your false self 24/7. That's what causes the exhaustion, and that's what causes us to sometimes even think life is no longer worth living. And we might not kill ourselves or hurt ourselves, but we might attract situations that hurt us and kill our spirit. Because on the inside, somewhere off in the attic of the brain, in the box that we disidentify with and disown, and emotions and rage and things that we feel like is not acceptable and we disown it, is going to come out when the pressure is on. The way somebody handles pressure is the core of who they are in that moment. It can change, but in that moment, you're able to see them beyond the false self. The most amazing thing about the ego is the unawareness of when we're in ego. So some of the symptoms of you not being your authentic self would be being defensive, over-explaining, feeling criticized even if nobody is criticizing you. This feeling of being judged, being afraid to show up in the world just as you are. That's ego. You're trying to keep yourself safe. You keep secrets because you're trying to keep yourself safe. But as long as you're doing that, the people that are close to you are people who only accept the false self. They don't accept the authentic self because you hide your worst, or you make excuses and justify your worst. And when you do that, you don't even allow yourself to receive love. Because guess what? Some of us have people in our life that will love us at our worst, but we don't know that because we don't let them see us at our worst. And this creates surface relationships where the connection is just not going to be fulfilling. There is no true intimacy happening. And this is the real epidemic on the planet, the lack of intimacy, the lack of ability to be vulnerable, especially for men. Men have been programmed to believe that being vulnerable means that they're weak. Can you imagine a man and he leads with, I have low self-esteem. And it's something that I deal with every day. Most men not gonna lead with that because the world has programmed them to believe having low self-esteem means that they're a low value man. But the truth is, if a man can admit to you that he has low self-esteem, he's actually more valuable than a man who uses his false self to transmit esteem where there is none. That's the truth. So be clear on when you are in ego, false self energy, and when you're in authenticity. Right? Just figure that out and sift through that and figure out who you are. Use this energy. This Valentine's Day stuff has got a lot of people focused on giving the illusion of love. It's not going to change until we do away with the illusions and deal with the present moment, deal with what is. There are some very high value men who don't know their high value because they operate in their ego. And the value that they've placed on themselves is based on ego operations, and they don't know they're doing it. They are not aware. 95% of our day-to-day consciousness is unaware. It's subconscious, unconscious. We don't know. Ladies, just because you have some mental health and emotional imbalances does not mean you are a low-value woman. Just because you desire to sleep with more than one person does not mean you are a low-value woman. Just because you make money by using the way that you physically look does not make you a low-value woman. it is time for us to rebel against the United States of a simulation that we have allowed ourselves to operate in for too long. That is the reason why all of a sudden now it seems like people's true colors is coming out, others and yours. Maybe you aren't nice as you thought you were. Don't mean you low value. It just means that you got some trauma that's showing up and you got some things to work through. That's it. We all have it. But the longer you repress it, the longer you deny it, the longer you ignore this gaping hole that you feel inside of yourself, the worse it gets, and it just festers. And that energy will be on everything that you interact with. The law of attraction will only give you the vibrational frequency in which you operate in. So if your mind ruminates on the reasons you feel like you are low value, if your mind creates thoughts and those thoughts create a sensation of shame, you're going to attract more things outside of you that reaffirm something that's not really true. The power of our mind combined with the emotions is what creates our reality. You see? So there are simple things that you can begin doing to connect with why you are high value despite the perceived imperfections. The main thing that I don't teach people how to change the veneer of their life. I teach people how to go deeper into their own self so that their life begins to reflect back to them the love and the worth that they are cultivating inside of themselves. The parts of you that are starving for attention, that's for you to embrace and learn how to take care of those parts of you. No one outside of you will ever be able to make you happy. We're on a new earth now. On the old earth, before we went through this cosmic reset, yeah, we could get away with that. But humanity is being called to evolve. This is the age of Aquarius. This is evolution, ascension, transcendental energy for us to transform. It's calling us to become better versions of ourselves so that the world can be a better version. We are projectors. We are manifestors. Learn your human design. Learn your galactic signature. Figure out your sun, moon, and rising. Figure out the personality that you operate in the most. Figure out what type of wound was created in you as a child from events that you may or may not remember. What's your wounded child archetype? Are you a perfectionist? Are you a rescuer? Do you have betrayal trauma? Did you have a parent walk out on you, a lie to you, and so that was the beginning of not feeling worthy to be loved because the person that created me didn't want me? And you can fake it as long as you want to, but at some point, when the pressure gets on, it's gonna come out. Can you love that part of you? Because once you can love the part of you that you used to be ashamed of, that's when you start having orgasmic, blissful experience in life, and nothing in your life has changed. You're probably making the exact same amount of money you always made. You're probably working at the same place you've been working at, but something inside of you shifts. And eventually, the things outside of you will shift as well. And it's no different than when you are buffering, when your device is buffering. There is a processing period. So once you begin altering your mindsets, you learn to not put the cart before the horse. The cart is your baggage, your trauma, all of the shit that ultimately brought you to this present moment. The horse is the potential for you to move forward despite the baggage, the trauma, and the burden that you have carried. The horse, the power that the horse has, that comes from the heart. Okay? That's right here. It takes heart and courage to walk away from situations that are beneath you. It takes heart and courage to go no contact with narcissists who will never admit that they are narcissists. They will never see things the way that you do. It takes courage to stop explaining to people who are highly conflictual, combative, narcissistic. It takes heart. It won't be done with the head. This level of love can be attained without changing anything. It don't take thousands of dollars. You don't have to fly across the country to a guru to fix you. Like those things are great tools, but ultimately it is how you feel about you that will motivate and inspire you to move forward no matter what's happening in your life. And one thing about me, I posted my whole life on the internet, and I'm a very private person. But I did it because I knew that it was going to be helpful for other people, because in this world we lack authenticity, we lack transparency, we lack vulnerability, yet we crave it. We lack the ability to be truly intimate with each other, but we crave it. Someone outside of you cannot, will not, should not ever be the one to give you your power. If they make you happy, they can make you unhappy too. Remember, it's two sides to every coin. And a lot of times, the people from our past may not resonate with the person you're becoming. They might have liked you better when you did not speak and live from your heart. They might have liked you better when you were a people pleaser and being too nice. They might have liked you better when you would just forgive them for every damn thing they did to you and not hold them accountable, not have repercussions. Yeah, they probably like that version of you better. But if that version of you is a false self version of you, you are doing yourself a disservice by operating in that aspect of who you are to keep someone else happy. And you're leaking your happiness. You're leaking your power to move forward. Healthy relationships happen when we let go, not when we hold on. When you tell somebody at any point in time this is not working, let's talk and figure it out. Because I'm not going to hold on to you in the name of keeping up this image of a power couple, or keeping up this image of being happy, or just trying to do it for the kids. Like, that's honesty, that's vulnerability. Like, if this is not working, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do. You know, don't hold on too tight. Love does not hold on too tight. Love does not constrict. Love allows. Love receives. Love is willing to let go when it's not working. If you're not going to hold on to a hot stove, why would you hold on to somebody who is a hothead all the time and can't see it because it's their shadow self and they haven't met this part of themselves yet? Or maybe they met it and disowned it. We all do it. We disown the part of ourselves that we wouldn't want other people to see. That's a shame wound. Shame is the way that the whole commerce is set up to be able to market and make money and profit from the things that we feel ashamed about. If you ashamed of the fact that your hair falling out, you can buy a wig. Like, it's okay. It's nothing negative about it. Just at the end of the day, how do you feel though when you take that wig off? You know, when you see your hair falling out, whatever it is, like just practicing loving you when you're seemingly at your worst. So, is this resonated with anybody? Yes, it is so important. It really is. I hopped on here for a minute. Could my I don't give a fuck attitude about most things be undiagnosed? Absolutely. Absolutely, Denise. I operated in that. It's two sides to everything. It's actually multi-dimensional sides to everything if we really get deep about it. But sometimes we use that I don't give a fuck about nothing as a coping mechanism to survive. And for a lot of us, we did have to numb out. That basically means that you numb your emotional body so that you didn't have to feel the wounds that were constantly being re-wounded by whatever circumstance you were in that you had no control over. So what your childhood conditioning carries with you throughout your whole life until you begin to work through it. So for me, I numbed myself, and we numb ourselves a lot of ways. I mean, in the movies and TV shows, it's drinking, right? Or drugs or getting high. But the one that's insidious that a lot of us probably been doing that didn't know we were doing was being a love addict. Being addicted to being in relationships with people because we didn't feel full, whole, single, right? And so that's an issue too. And then once you get hurt, you will find a way to numb yourself so you don't get hurt again. But when we're emotionally numb, it also, when we're guarded and got walls up, it's difficult to feel empathy. Like, it's one thing to think empathic things, like speak empathy, so we could say my condolences to somebody, but you're saying the words, but do you feel condolence in your body? Do you feel empathy in your body? So this is the disconnect between the head and the heart. And it happens. This is just the result of being in the earth school. We're here to learn how to navigate these things and ultimately transmute those lower density energies into higher frequency energies that actually benefit us. So yeah, being numb is a part of it. Most of us have undiagnosed complex PTSD, and most of us are on the autistic spectrum or ADHD. I'm not a psychotherapist, so I can't tell you this. This is just from my experience. I've done thousands and thousands of readings with people on every continent on this planet, and there are a lot of things that I have learned from that. So, you know, we don't always have to have a diagnosis to heal. It can help. I've done both. But self-healing is still up to you. Even if you work with a therapist, like, it's still up to you. You still have to do the work. That's what Danny Morell talks about as the work. You know, Danny Morell, one of my favorite people to listen to. Also Matt Kahn. I think I was sharing him while I was cooking for the full moon. I was playing Matt Kahn in the background. So those are two people that you could check out as well. At the end of the day, no matter where we are all capable of retrieving these parts of ourselves we disown. We're all capable of feeling empathy again. We're all capable of opening up to love again and allowing love to come in, opening our heart even though we've been hurt. We're all capable of doing this. We're all capable of being happy no matter what's happening in our life. That potential is inside of each and every one of us. So I hope that this motivates someone and inspires someone. I'm not going to stay on here too much longer, but I just want you to remember that you are so much better than what you think you are, even when you are at your worst. Okay, remember, if you don't remember nothing else I said, hold on to that one. And if you would like to join us on this journey, it's a journey. And it's fun. It's fun when you figure out certain aspects of why you're on this journey. It get fun. And you get curious instead of judgmental. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I resonate with that. Now I see why I push people away. Now I see why when people treat me good, it feels uncomfortable, but I'm ashamed to say that I'm uncomfortable, so I'll find some reason to not trust them and say, I don't trust you. We do all of that, you know? And it's just sometimes we don't feel worthy of adoration and feel worthy of love. And so, you know, if you have an empty hole inside of you, nothing that your partner do will ever fill you up, because that space is sacred and it's meant for you to fill you up. Okay? So I'm going to get off here. The links is in the bio on here for the course. The course is on sale. And I know that some of us are transitioning with the economy being reset. So everything is on sale and marked down 75% reduced, because I want people to really be able to figure this out before we create any more relationships, any more babies, any more marriages. Like, you deserve to find these parts of you, rediscover them, work through them, and cultivate that love and that power inside of you. And you won't attract partners that aren't capable of loving you when you're at your worst. You will attract people who can love you just as you are. And without that pressure, can you imagine how different the world would be when we become liberated from the social constructs and the forced assimilation, and just learn how to be authentic and love us no matter what? Once you love you no matter what, situation that you attract will reflect that. All right, so I'm gonna get off here. Thank y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I made Monday be a little less sucky and a little more lucky, right? From suck to success. We just did it in a short little conversation, but I'll be with you every day, no matter which course you choose. You will hear my voice every day, guiding you through your journey. New me stay.